What you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh.
Hey everybody, this is Dr. Matt, and this is Take Back Your Health podcast, where we talk about all things health and ways to help you be the best version of you. Hey everybody, this is Dr. Matt. This is Take Back Your Health podcast, and I'm back with two special guests that you've heard before, Miss Lindy Klein and Jen Bandy from Walk With Me Healing Steps. Guys, it's good to have you back.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for having us back.
Thank you.
Part two.
I love it. Love it.
All right, so let's dive into it. Now, just real quick, just for people that may not have listened to the first part of the podcast, so just reintroduce yourself real quick, who you're with, what you do, your role at the business.
I'm Lindy Klein, and I am the Community Outreach Coordinator for Walk With Me Healing Steps, and we do out-of-the-box therapy, nature-based. We have equine activities, and we do in-office, and we have a trauma recovery coach who we have with us now.
Yeah. So I'm Jen Bandy. Mm-hmm. I am a founder of Walk With Me Healing Steps, and my foundation is in trauma, and I married the horse piece with trauma because it can be very effective.
Awesome. So, getting right into it, I know last time we talked about, we're still talking about battling inner demons because that's kind of my theme for May, because May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So we talked about anxiety last time, so now we're going to find a focus on the other part, which is depression. And now you mentioned to me before, why did you pick depression? Because it's a very tough subject to talk about, which is why I wanted to pick it, because I want to give our listeners a way to kind of figure out ways to see it, because depression, I think, is very easy to hide, and also ways to help conquer and deal with it when they feel like there's really no hope. So kind of get into it. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert in these subjects, so I'm going to let you do the talking on that. But kind of as far as depression goes, how do you go about diagnosing somebody with depression?
So, yeah, thank you for leading right into that. So first and foremost, I need to just say that I am a certified trauma recovery coach. Therefore, I cannot diagnose. You need to see a licensed mental health clinician.
Correct.
And they are the ones that can do that diagnosis. And sometimes you may need to see a psychiatrist for medication because it can be a chemical imbalance as well. So your serotonin, stress, cortisol, all that can be off kilter just a little bit, and that causes that extreme fatigue or malaise that you might experience as a symptom.
Now, do you have a psychiatrist on? Is that what Julie does?
Oh, Julie is a licensed mental health counselor. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I thought you did. But as far as what you guys deal with people with depression, what are some common signs and symptoms that people usually come in with? Or what do you do with patients that have those?
Yeah. So my approach is a lot different. Because my lens is through a trauma lens. So typically when people come to see me that have the symptoms of loneliness, isolation, not wanting to be social, there's a lot that goes into that. So then I kind of sit back and we discuss, well, maybe what triggers are you experiencing? What is happening? Because you could have triggers from your childhood or stressors that you're not aware of that'll swing you into that sadness.
And they go to that because it's kind of a safe haven almost.
Well, it's a learned behavior from
that's what I meant.
Childhood, and it's maladaptive, but I think it's very adaptive because it's what kept us alive. It just may no longer serve a purpose.
Primitive. Well, as far as some of our habits that tend to be like the fight or flight, and I know that's kind of more just ingrained, and we're used to that. Now, you had said that you come through more of a trauma standpoint, but I mean, I think all these kind of issues kind of stem from some sort of trauma, whether it's mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, things like that. Correct?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree to that?
Yeah. So I think one of the hardest things for me to have a conversation with the audience is to say, when we view trauma, we see it as a one event, a big one and done, and that's the trauma. And yes, that is trauma. But there can be trauma from an overcritical parent where I've been criticized. I've never been able to do anything right. So what can stem from that is perfectionism. I'm afraid if I don't get it perfect, I'm not going to be good enough. I'm not going to be loved.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep going. No, that's a perfect example of where that comes from. Lindy,
I was just going to say, and sometimes we go back to those maladaptive behaviors because what kept us safe back then might not, help us in the future as well. Like in our future, like when we're children, I feel like some things that we've gone through, such as an overcritical parent, I feel like it does follow us into our adulthood. And we have to say, no, that's not really going to help us now in our future.
Yeah, you're talking about the overcritical parent. You can also have the parent that is more image-based, where I've had patients before that have opened up to me saying, oh, my mom always told me I was fat or told me I was never like too much facial hair, whatever you want to call it. And that causes insecurities and everything else. But as far as depression goes specifically, it's far more than just being sad, obviously. Most people probably have it and they don't realize they have it because that's just kind of become their way of life, and they don't think of it that way until you guys come in and kind of can shed some light on the subject to where they're realizing, well, maybe that doesn't make sense. I have fallen into some of those patterns. And so how do you help your clients to recognize those patterns when they're seeing those?
So when we look at depression, if you were to come in and say, hey, this is what I'm experiencing, we're going to look at time or length. How long has it been? If it's been 2 consecutive weeks without any significant change forward, if it's changed worse, then we're going to say, you know what, maybe we need to take a different approach. Maybe we need to see somebody else. Maybe we need some prescription medicine to help us. If we can't get out of bed, that's a big one. When we hit major depression, we're not going to be able to get out of bed. Hygiene goes out the window. Maybe I haven't showered in 3 or 4 days because I just can't. Those are some things that we're going to start to look at, and we're going to start to maybe make some changes or referrals. It doesn't mean that you can't still see me. It just means we need to add something else to it.
And we're all about self-care. Huge about making sure you're taking care of yourself, even if it's like just one little thing, hey, breathe. Breathing makes a difference because all of us are so anxious and we carry it in our body. We're so tense and everything. I noticed that with like my shoulders. I just have to be aware of it because I get really tense. And so I would hold it back in my shoulders. So we'll say, hey, why don't you just take a big, deep breath in, deep breath out. And that's just one little thing. But we always are very much advocates for self-care.
Oh, yeah. I'm always clenching my teeth, and I have no idea why I'm clenching my teeth. I'll be clenching my teeth down the road, and then I'm like, why's my jaw tight? But that was actually a good segue because you had talked about the medication, because I wanted to kind of touch upon as far as fighting depression, because there's the medical route that sometimes is necessary because it's a chemical imbalance, but then there's also the more holistic approaches. So kind of how do you work with both of those? I know you don't prescribe medication, things like that, but you refer people for that, obviously, but how do you kind of go more the holistic route, I should say, because your guys are more holistically like we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we really want to talk about maybe what you're experiencing before you noticed your body shifting, right? So we go into a lot of emotional awareness. And if we look, we can find most of the time the emotion that's attached to, quote unquote, feeling depressed, feeling sad, isolation, And what if I threw the emotion of grief out there? And so many of us feel like grief is mourning the loss of a loved one, and we don't see it as anything else. Grief can be loss of childhood, right? If we lived in dysfunction in our childhood, there's loss of childhood. How about loss of a marriage through divorce, right? Loss of a job. Those are all
Career.
Career. Those are all things that we can grieve. What if we're
All those people in Hurricane Helene that lost their houses.
right? Yeah.
Lost your life, or
Yeah,
lost the life that
yeah,
you were
the loss
used
of
to.
life. Yeah, but just losing your life. Yeah, yeah.
So we can also grieve what we don't have, right? So we're taught knee high to a grasshopper. This is what your life should look like if you're doing it right. And you should have the big house, the white picket fence, 2 or 3 kids, a beautiful spouse, a nice car. And when we don't have that, we actually grieve the loss of it. Or if we're in a relationship that our needs aren't being met, we grieve that loss as well.
Absolutely. No, that's deep stuff. I'm about to say, I know you could agree to that, Lindy,
agree,
because
yes.
you just went through that.
Yes. Or going through it.
Oh, well, it's currently going through it. Did you have anything to add to that? Or do you want me to?
No, I think Jen is absolutely right. I think we grieve a lot of things in our life, and I think we're on this journey that, we have this picture in our head. And I think if we could just get to a point where we're grateful and present where we're at, it would just make such a difference, because we're always trying to attain what's out there. What's our culture showing us? Like a perfect family. Like what? Really? I mean,
there
me and
is no
Jen actually
perfect.
agree on this. Like what? There's
Well-
nothing that's really perfect.
And I want to piggyback off from that as well, because I feel like, especially with our younger generation, social media plays a big role
Huge.
in the depression part of it,
Oh, absolutely.
because what we post, we're not going to post up our ugly spots. No. Right?
Absolutely not. No.
Yeah, so we post up happiness.
Yeah, and a lot of it's fake, but it all comes, I think, to one word, which is comparison. Because what do they say? Comparison is the thief of joy. Isn't that what they usually say?
Yes.
And that's what everybody's trying to do. They're trying to compare themselves to each other, which you just said, the white picket fence, the perfect spouse, the 3 kids, or whatever. We all have a vision of our life that we deep down in our heart desire to have. And then when we don't have that, we think that we're doing something wrong.
You're broken.
Or we're not good enough. And then those thoughts like to enter our head, and then we start believing them. And then we start giving them more energy, and that leads to these issues of anxiety, depression, and some other things like that.
Yeah.
And I know we talk about depression being like the hidden disease, because it's kind of easy to hide. I mean, anxiety is kind of easy to see if somebody's anxious, because you could physically see the signs, the jerky motions and the fast heartbeat, all that kind of stuff. But depression is kind of easy to overlook, especially somebody that's like suicidal or something like that, because they talk about learning the signs. Because sometimes you wouldn't even know. I mean, I hear that from people sometimes where somebody had unfortunately took their life and they were blown away because he was normal. I didn't know he was going through that, or she was going through that. So how do you go approach that kind of situation? As far as like learning to read the signs early, so you can maybe help somebody else to learn how to recognize that.
Well, so first I want to back up just
go
a
ahead.
little bit about what you were saying, because I think society deems depression as
Normal, right?
well, not as
It's become normal, but it shouldn't be.
Well, that you're broken, that mental health, there's something really wrong with you. And with that stigma also comes, there's no fix.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So once you have mental health, you always have it for the rest of your life. And that is not necessarily true. In some cases, yes. But you can experience what I would call emotional dysregulation, where, you're not able to stay within your emotional threshold and you have really high highs, which might be hypervigilant, anxiety, panic attack. And then you might have really low lows where it's crumple. I can't get up. I don't want to be social. So also depression or sadness steps forward and it actually protects us, right? Because it protects us from emotional vulnerability. Because if I'm not willing to be social or to put myself out there, or I'm too sad with the situation, then I don't have to share. I don't have to be with other people who can support me, and I don't have to be judged. And it's not go on and fix yourself. Come on, can't you do it? Just go out and do something fun. It's not that at all. And that's how we view that. What's wrong? You've been depressed for 3 months. Nothing can be that sad. That's what we hear in society quite often. And that will limit us into feeling okay to reach out and get help.
And it also makes you feel like you're alone too.
Yes.
Like this is your problem. Nobody else has this problem.
Absolutely.
So you're not going to ask for help because, this is something you have to deal with, which is what I'm sure a lot of people have to understand.
Well, Jen, she said about the stigma. I mean, for years it's been, we don't really want to talk about that, or we don't want to have a conversation about that because mental health is something that people just really haven't understood.
Yeah.
And I think now we're at a time where we all need to have a conversation, and you're not alone. You have someone there to support you. You just have to find the right people. And I feel like that's why we're all so passionate about what we do, because we understand it, because we've walked this journey. We've all had some sort of, something in our life that's happened that's made us this way. I know I have personally. And so I want to have that conversation because I want to get out in front of it and be more proactive than reactive, for sure.
And I know that's important too when you said find the right people, because everybody claims to be a doctor. Everybody wants to diagnose. Everybody has their own solution, I should say. Oh, should just do this. Oh, just do this. Oh, just do this. In like our last few minutes here, how do you help someone deal with their depression? Or what are some ways that you counsel or you have found good, like general solutions for, fighting something like this?
So everybody is different. What works for me doesn't work for Lindy
Correct.
and for you. And so it's trying something, see if it works. If it doesn't work, we need to try something else.
Yeah.
When you come out to the farm, it changes the situation. It changes the game because you're partnering with a horse. And I have many, many people say, I'm here today because my horse needs me. And that
cool.
gets you motivated and gets you there. And now we can start having those difficult conversations. And you're going to feel supported because your horse is going to be there with you through the process.
And they're feeling things that you're not realizing they're feeling too.
And they're not judgmental. They're just there
Exactly.
to support you. They're standing there. They're, and I feel like they embrace wherever that person is in their journey.
Or not embrace.
Or not embrace.
Yeah.
That's true.
So sometimes we show up with energy that they're like, not today.
away.
But,
so true.
but I want to say that the important piece is that it is today's energy, not what happened 15 years ago, not maybe what you did 15 years ago. It's about today. And they don't judge you for last week. If you show up angry or really depressed or however, they don't go back and say, well, last week you came in your pajamas and you didn't even have your hair done. They don't do that.
No.
They see you for who you are in the real time, right then and there. So whatever you bring, they're going to pick up on it. It's real.
And I know probably another, I guess, mindset is just don't give up. Like
Yeah.
don't give up, don't give in. Know that You don't have to settle with this. Despite what doctors tell. I have patients that tell me all the time. Their doctor says, "Oh, I have to just deal with this." I've had headaches for 3 years. They said there's nothing I can do about that. There's always something you can do about it. Now, it may be certain circumstances that you can't undo. Like if you've had surgery and had a replacement, you can't unreplace it. But then again, there's ways that you can go around compensating and dealing with it, and I'm sure mental health is no different.
Yeah.
We can't erase what's happened to us, but we can change what may happen to us in the future by how we look at it.
So I always go back to, if you're experiencing symptoms of depression and you get 5% relief, was it worth it? And I'm like, yeah, it was worth it, right? So in that time period, it might be just 5% relief.
Yeah.
Then a month later, it might be another 5. Now we're up to 10% relief of the symptoms. And that's what's worth it.
And that snowballs.
And it will snowball.
Because people, unfortunately, won't now. They won't, I want to take a pill, I want to do whatever, an exercise, and I'm done and I'm cured. And that's unfortunately not how it works.
Instant gratification.
Yeah.
We're just all about one of our mottos is conquer your past and step into your future.
Yep, I like that. Well, appreciate you coming out today and taking more time to explain this a little bit to us. Is there anything else you'd like to leave us with before we kind of let people know how to get a hold of you if they'd like to reach out for more information?
Well, there are apps out there that you can get to help assist with meditation or breath work, or just even journaling, even understanding the patterns. And I don't like to call it journaling because I don't like to journal.
I don't either.
But I will log.
Yeah.
And so to me, if I could log out what's happening, what did I experience, then I can start to see patterns that may emerge, and then I can address that pattern.
Well, journaling, I don't like to journal either because I'm not a big writer, but journaling is good because it helps you process your thoughts. I'm a processor. I have to process it. Whenever somebody tells me something or something happens to me, I have to process it. And whether that's thinking it over and over, I'll replay the same situation in my head, thinking like, and overanalyze, which obviously is not a good thing either, but it helps you process things because you have a different mentality. Was it you that had said something about when you're writing things down, you're creating new pathways?
Yes, you're creating new pathways and things like that. And also it's in your brain, it's coming out. You have it on paper, and if you're a visual person, for like just myself, it just kind of gives you that insight on what's kind of going on, and you lay it out. Because kind of like what Jen says, it's like the puzzle pieces. You're laying it out there and you're seeing how that all fits.
Absolutely. Well, real quick, how does someone get a hold of you if they'd like to make an appointment or schedule a treatment session with Walk With Me?
So it's walkwithmehealingsteps.com. For our veterans, it's operationbattlehorse.org. And our phone number is 828-330-4152. Extension 701 will get you right into our scheduler, or she'll answer any questions that you may have.
And you've got different programs. You've got your veterans, you've got your women's, your Beautiful Balance, you've got your Barn Buddies, which is your more neurodiverse, correct?
Correct.
And then you've also got your licensed counselor as well, Julie.
Yeah, so Julie, she does accept some insurances, Aetna, Blue Cross, Cigna. So if you do have insurance, she will accept that for treatment. Also, because we are a nonprofit, we work really hard at securing funding from our community to help offset the costs if you're not covered by insurance, or you can't afford $125, $65 an hour every single week. We do offer sliding scale and scholarship opportunities, and our veterans are always free.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Did you have anything else to add?
Well, as the community outreach coordinator, I do fundraising and donations and things of that nature, and collaborate with local businesses. So if anyone wants to, collaborate with us or sponsor, we do have opportunities. They can get a hold of us as well on our website.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, both
Thank
for
you.
coming out.
Thank you, Matt. It was awesome.
If you'd like to learn more about what you just heard, or if you're interested in scheduling an appointment to see how chiropractic can help you, visit our website at newdirectionschiropractic-nc.com. Be sure to follow our social media page for more information on how to be a better you. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast.
You've been listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Check us out online at themesh.tv. Discover other network shows and give us feedback on what you just heard.